On behalf of Dolat Capital, I welcome you all to the Q4 and FY18 earnings concall of Dwarikesh Sugar. From the management side, we have Mr. Vijay Banka, the Managing Director and CF of the company. I would like to thank Mr. Banka for giving us the opportunity to host the Dwarikesh concall. Over to you, sir. Followed by, we'll take a Q&A session. Thank you, sir.
Very good afternoon to you all. I welcome you, a very warm welcome to you all to the earnings call, Q4 FY results and business outlook call of Dwarikesh Sugar Industries Limited. We've just published our results day before yesterday on the 7th. The results are with you, and this has been a rather challenging and daunting quarter for us in the sense that we have incurred a loss of earning before, not earning actually, loss before taxes 23 crores. Net profit loss after taxes nearly 9.21 crores. So it's been a challenging quarter. Suddenly the fortunes, there has been very stunning and sudden reversal in the fortunes of the sugar industry. And the biggest challenge that we face is the big surplus in the sugar production and resulting in continued fall in the sugar prices. When we commenced the crushing season 2017-18, the first estimate that we got, the industry got from the ground level intelligence, etc., from the satellite survey done then, was that it will be about 25.5 million tons. Progressively, the estimate has been revised. It has been revised upwards, and the latest estimate is that we could have production of about 32 million tons. As on 30th April 2018, the production had already crossed the 31 million tons mark, and many mills were still working. So we are staring at a possibility of almost 65 to 70 lakh tons of surplus sugar produced during the crushing season 2017-18. Now, the main reason for all the production estimates going haywire has been the unprecedented yield the farmers have got in their farms. Well, the area under sugarcane cultivation has been more or less same, or there has been marginal increase, but the yields have been unprecedented. The farmers have got bountiful of yields, resulting in sugarcane supply, higher sugarcane supply and higher sugarcane production. So this has resulted between the reversal in the price has been so sudden and so stunning in the sense that in the month of December 2017 we have sold sugar at a price of 3,700 rupees per quintal, which is now hovering around 2,700 rupees per quintal. So this is mainly responsible for our sugar segment reporting negative contribution. Now, from the outlook perspective, well, the industry is of course worried, and the government is equally worried. Government has announced a number of initiatives in the past. Some of them have proved to be not very long-lasting in their impact. They introduced a reverse stock holding limit. They raised the import duty to 100%. They abolished the export duty. So all these measures have had a fleeting impact on the sugar prices. Well, they did help the industry to liquidate some of the sugar stock, but then nothing much happened on the price front. Now the government has announced a subsidy of 5 rupees. Thereafter, the government firstly introduced compulsory export quota of 2 million tons. So individual quotas have been determined for each of the sugar mills based on their production in the earlier years. So we are all duty bound to export a certain quantity of quota which has been determined for us, or we have to trade our obligation in favor of somebody who is actually doing the physical export. So once the physical export starts happening, we do expect that some revival in the sugar price should be possible. The problem though is that now what can go out of the country is only the white sugar, because raw sugar production is now not possible, and most of the sugar that is demanded in the global market, in the international market, is the raw sugar. Well, that is something that can happen in the coming season. So, government is also reaching out to various other countries, the governments of other countries, so as to create some kind of export market for the Indian sugar. As and when there is some progress, I'm sure everybody will come to know. A couple of other initiatives government is planning. Number one is the reduction in the ethanol GST on the ethanol from 18% to 12%. There's another move to produce sugar directly from B-heavy molasses, which means cutting short one process so that molasses availability is more, and the sugar production naturally becomes lesser. So these are various initiatives the government is working. Now, what is daunting is not only is there surplus production of sugar in this country, the next year's output is also, we can expect similar or little more production in the coming season as well. The farmers are finding the sugarcane crop extremely remunerative, mainly because of higher and higher sugarcane price fixed over the last many years. So we are looking at the prospects seem a little daunting, but the good thing is the problem is so big and the stakeholders involved are so many that the government has to work out some solution, which is a win-win solution for all concerned. We as a company on our part, while we are keenly watching the macro scenario unfold, we have focused on improving our efficiencies. Our recoveries this year have again surpassed the recoveries of the last year. Our production is still on in two of the units, crushing is still on in two of the units. So we have tightened our belts, we put a tight leash on our costs, our interest costs have come down substantially. So whatever is possible internally is being done. But then results, as you would see, on a full year basis also, we have earned a profit of 100 crores, profit after tax of about 100 crores, which is down from 156 crores of profit that we earned in the last year. We had to take an inventory write-down of nearly 90 crores because the realizable value, the market value, prevailing market price has been less than the cost. So we have taken an inventory write-down of 90 crores. Sugar prices in the fourth quarter was also lesser, almost about 564 rupees lesser than what it was in the same quarter last year. So all these factors explain for the difficult quarter that we have faced. So that's about it. I would look forward to answering your question. Please kindly go ahead.
Sure, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin with the question-answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question, you may press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handset while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. We take the first question from the line of Aditya Deshpande from Vallum Capital.
Hello.
Hello. Very good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. You had mentioned earlier that it is compulsory to export a certain percentage of production.
Correct.
I want to know what kind of percentage Dwarikesh is looking to export.
See, we have an obligation to export 25,496 metric tons of sugar between 3 of our units. So each unit, in one unit perhaps it's 8,890. So, totaling, everything totals to about 25,497 metric tons, which is what we are required to export. Either export or trade our obligation in favor of somebody who's actually physically exporting.
Okay. And you had also mentioned that it's possible only for the white sugar to be exported, whereas the demand is for the raw sugar.
No, white sugar 2 million tons can be exported, but a larger quantity than 2 million tons would not have been possible at this juncture. So government has very wisely made 2 million tons of export compulsory. So once we start the next season 2018-19, And I'm sure the government is aware of the problem facing the industry, and we have been also urging the government that they should announce the larger export obligation, before the season begins, so that raw sugar can move out. And raw sugar is what the market asks for.
Okay. I just wanted to confirm if the inventory write-off was 90 crores.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks a lot. That's it from my side.
Thank you. We take the next question from the line of Sudarshan Padmanabhan from Sundaram Mutual Fund.
Hello, thank you for taking my question.
Very good afternoon, sir.
Yeah. Sir, I would like to know what is the closing inventory that we have, and at what price, what will be the value of that inventory?
Sure.
And how much have we taken at this time?
No, I'll tell you, I'll explain to you. We have had a closing inventory of 19.11 lakh quintals of sugar, which was valued at 2,604 rupees a quintal. What we have done is, MIEQ obligation was already announced, so that was a reality. So our MIEQ obligation, we have 25,497 metric ton, or 2,054,970 quintals of sugar, has been valued at around close to 2,100, which is what is the international price, and the rest of it has been valued at 2,673. So our average valuation for the entire inventory is 2,604. Hello?
So we've lost the line for the current participant.
Yeah.
So we take the next question from the line of Himanshu Vinay from MK Global. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my question, sir.
Good afternoon to you.
Very good afternoon, sir. Sir, I just wanted to understand in the opening remarks you said about the government initiative of reducing the ethanol GST.
Yes.
And the second point was, I just missed that.
No, the second point is what happens in Brazil is that, sugar is made in three stages.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we extract as much sugar as is possible, and after the third stage, whatever is left over is the molasses, and it is not worthwhile to further process and take sugar out of that, although molasses also has sugar in it. So what Brazil does, and what this present initiative that we were discussing is that from B-heavy molasses route, we after the second stage, we abandon making sugar. I mean, we make sugar up to the second stage. We don't try to extract more sugar, and at that stage, whatever is the molasses, which will obviously be very high in sugar content, that will be used for making ethanol. Obviously, the yield of, for example, if after in B-heavy molasses, the yield could be as high as 400 liters per metric ton, whereas in case of molasses that we use, the yield is only about 250 quintals per metric ton. So this will result in lesser, sugar recoveries will obviously go down. When we do that, when we don't go till the finality as we are doing presently, for example, if my yield is 11.75 or 11.80, whatever it is, now if I abandon extracting sugar after B-heavy stage, my recoveries will come down, my sugar recoveries will come down, whereas my ethanol recoveries will get better. So, which will result in more production of ethanol and lesser production of sugar. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. But then, sir, how it is going to benefit the industry as a whole then? So people,
So what will happen is, government is going to create an assured market for ethanol, and sugar production in the country, let's say even if it is less by 10, 15 or 20%, whatever it is, so the sugar prices will remain better. They will remain insulated to all these trends that we have been lately witnessing.
Right. Yeah. Right. And sir, what was the prices of molasses for this quarter?
Molasses prices have been ridiculously low. Presently, molasses price is only about 4 or 5 rupees a quintal.
Okay. And it was in Q3?
No, I'm talking about Q4 last year. It was 400 rupees a quintal. So there has been near 100% erosion in the price of molasses.
Right. Okay, sir. Thank you. It was.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. We take the next question from the line of Keyur Shah from MK Global.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon.
Very good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Sir, you mentioned about various government initiatives. And is it possible to approximately quantify how much it will comfort the industry and Dwarikesh as a whole?
So it's not possible to quantify. You see, various initiatives that we are, there are two kinds of assistance that those are being planned and being given. Number one is one of financial assistance to help the sugar industry pay the sugarcane dues. And number two, create a situation like, for example, this compulsory export is a scheme. That compulsory export scheme will what it will do is reduce the quantity of sugar available in the country, which means it will prop up the domestic sugar prices. Similarly, the initiative that I explained a little while ago of making ethanol from bee-heavy molasses will also reduce the availability of sugar in the country and help the revival of domestic sugar prices. Now, this bee-heavy root molasses is a little long-drawn program because, firstly, ethanol making capacities have to be created, and, some capex also has to be incurred. But export is something which can be done. Already 2 million tons has been announced, and we expect the government to announce exports obligation for the next threshing season as well very soon.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. We take the next question from the line of Yash Agarwal from Crest Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Very good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. So actually, I missed the initial 5 minutes. Just what is your outlook on sugar prices,
Yeah, you see, the challenge now the industry is facing is the continuous revision. All our initial estimates going haywire on production of sugar. So from a 25.5 million tons of first estimate, we are now staring at a possibility of producing more than 32 million tons of sugar. Now, this has resulted in sugar prices being on downward spiral. So, this imbalance needs to be corrected, and towards this, the government is working on initiatives of compulsory export, etc. They have already announced a compulsory export of 2 million tons. We expect them to announce more compulsory export from the coming season for the coming season as well. They have announced a subsidy. Although it has not yet been notified, a financial assistance of ₹5.50 per quintal to be paid to the sugar to be paid directly to the farmers in discharge of that much of obligation of sugar mills to pay the sugarcane dues.
Right.
So, a lot of these measures are aimed at propping up, aimed at two things. Number one, to help liquidate the farmers' due, and number two, to prop up the sugar price, which again will enable the sugar industry. It will again, help the industry to pay the sugarcane dues.
So, but these exports, will they be profitable because the international prices are yet...
Exports will not be profitable. So, there will be some kind of production subsidy. This ₹5.50 financial assistance, that is also...
but that's very minuscule, right?
Yeah, that is minuscule. But more such measures we expect the government to announce.
So what are the current sugar prices? So do you expect it to be at 26-27 rupees per kilo only?
Present sugar prices are 2,700. We expect two things. Number one, although compulsory exports have already been announced, once the physical export starts happening, there could be some revival in the price, but not significant. So we will have to wait for, we are at the doorsteps of both central and state government asking for more financial assistance.
Right. And so what is our cost now after the written down cost of our inventory?
Our inventory, we were carrying an inventory of 19.11 lakh quintals, and which was valued at 2,604 rupees. So we have taken an inventory write-down of 91 crores.
Okay, we've already taken it, right?
Yeah, we've already taken.
And so next season, is there any hope for sugar prices to recover? I'm talking about the...
Next year again is expected to be a bumper production year. Now, this year we like I said, we are going to produce about 32 million tons of sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Here could be marginally high, or it will all depend, how the coming monsoon is going to play a very crucial role. Now, the area under sugarcane plantation is already there, but better the monsoon, the yields can be much better. So this year we had a the phenomenon that we witnessed was a very high yield which the farmers got at their farms.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so much will depend on the yield the farmers will get at their farm. So if higher the yield, yes, the production could be little higher. Lower the yield, yes, the production could be little lower. So I expect the production to be around the same number next season as well, 32 at the most, going up to 33 million tons of sugar.
Okay, sir. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. We take the next question from the line of Ritesh Paladia from Giri Capital.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Very
good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, is B-grade molasses allowed to be converted into ethanol as of now?
There are hardly one or two plants. Now, this will require two things. Number one, the policy framework. Number two, creation of some capex requirement also will be there, because the Indian sugar plants, as it is, cannot produce ethanol from B-heavy molasses. So although that capex requirement may not be much, but then capex will also be required in creating distillery capacities. So production initiative, and then thirdly, the most important thing is when you make sugar out of B-heavy molasses, the ethanol prices have to be better. I mean, at the currently prevailing molasses, it wouldn't make immense sense to make ethanol from B-heavy grade molasses. So three kinds of, number one, the policy framework, number two, the ethanol pricing, and number three, the capabilities to produce that extra ethanol. So these are the three necessities which have to be addressed.
Sir, at 27 rupees sugar, what would be the trade-off price for ethanol?
No, it will be not 27. There will be no trade-off. It could be at 25, 26. Yes, I mean, it depends, like for example, you see in India, unfortunately, unlike the difference between Brazil market and Indian market is Brazil market is totally export-dominated market. Out of 35, 36 million tons of sugar that they produce, they hardly consume anything and everything is exported. So there is a well-developed futures market in Brazil. In India, most of the sugar is sold on spot market. So, those are the kind of things, problems that need to be addressed. For example, if, let's say, some people start making ethanol from B-heavy grade molasses and then the sugar prices go up and, one should not be regretting the decision of having manufactured ethanol from there on.
Sure. Sir, if assume entire industry goes for a B-ethanol molasses to ethanol,
yeah,
then what would be the fall in sugar production?
Well, that's a difficult question to answer because, firstly, whether everybody has that capability, everybody have that kind of capability to make ethanol. Now, for example, again, I'm not very sure about this. We can see a definite drop of 2% recovery in the sugar, whatever recoveries that we are getting presently.
So, hypothetically, 2% recovery can be reduced.
Yeah. Essentially, 2% recovery will get reduced, and on the other hand, we will have higher production of ethanol.
Okay. Assuming policy framework in place, what is the time period you can expect that entire industry
to... It can be done. I mean, if the policy framework is in place, it can be, we can see some, I wouldn't see much creation of capacities in 2018-19 season, but 1920s, yes, by 1920s, everything is possible.
So this season, definitely it's not possible.
Yes, doesn't seem so feasible this season. The season 18-19, for the simple reason that there may not be adequate ethanol making capacity.
Okay. And sir, again, if assuming sugar price remains at 27, what would be the ethanol price? It could be more than 45?
It should be 50 rupees at least. It should be 50 rupees.
To gain the same profitability at 27 rupees of sugar?
Yeah.
Okay. That's all from my side. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We take the next question from the line of Ashna Mishra from Cogensis.
Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon, ma'am.
Hello, hi, good afternoon, sir. Sir, I wanted to ask, like you just said that the output is more or less likely to be similar at around 32 to 33 million ton next year. So what will be the output in Uttar Pradesh per se? Like Uttar Pradesh has emerged as the largest producer since last 2 years. So will that trend continue and how much will UP produce next year?
Well, let me answer your question in 3 phases. Number one, we have produced 12 million tons. This year's production in UP is estimated to be 12 million tons.
Okay.
Okay. Now, since a lot of production has happened,
yes, sir,
a lot of plant crop will now get converted into ratoon crop.
Ratoon, yes.
So in ratoon, the yields are not as good as what it is in case of plant crop. Okay.
Right,
so
right.
That will have the effect of reducing the sugar cane availability, number one.
Right,
right. But enthused by the good yields, etc., that the farmers have got, now the area under sugarcane plantation or the area under that varieties CO0238 could go up, which will again have the effect of improving the yields and improving the availability of sugarcane. So these are two compensating kind of factors. So now again here in UP we must look at there are 3 zones. Number one, Western UP, the Central UP, and the Eastern UP. Now Western UP is more or less saturated. We don't see big swings in production in Western UP. And Central UP also we have not seen big swings, but the biggest swing that we have seen this year, the biggest increase in the sugar production that we have seen is in the Central UP. Okay. Now, number one, there is enthusiasm on the part of the farmers because they've got better yields. Number two, the ratoon yield may be lesser. Number three, the payments have not been, sugarcane payments are not being made as regularly as they were made in the last season. So that could be a deterrent for the farmers to grow more sugarcane. Yes. So I don't see a situation where 12 million tons can become 13 million tons or something like that. 12 million tons at best. If it gets better, it can be only about 12.5 million tons. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, sir, I just wanted to ask one more thing. Yeah. Sir, you said that you are expecting the government to announce more subsidy and you're also expecting them to announce export obligation for next year. So, sir, has the industry already reached out to the government in this regard? Yeah, government is, the industry interacts with government on a very regular basis. The government has already announced this financial assistance of 5 rupee 50 paisa per quintal for the crushing season. Yes, sir. This is yet to be formalized. And, we are in front of the state government also because, the problem is the approach of the central government over the last many years has been that, FRP is problem, our problem, and beyond FRP is state government's problem. Yes. So we are before both of them, and we are also requesting them to announce an early export quota for the next coming season. Okay. So there is this talk of 3 rupee cess also being levied, 3 rupees per kg being cess being levied on sugar. The indications are that the government is working, although there is nothing concrete which is right before us, but the indications are that the government is, aware of the problem, the magnitude of the problem, and is working towards addressing them. Okay. Yeah. Oh, sir, in what sense are you expecting the government to announce more financial assistance? No, we are not. We don't have any assurance or any. Also, sir, for next year, like early export quota, so will the same MIQ, which is currently till September, be extended, or will it have to be brought separately? It will have to come separately. 2 million tons. Not resolved. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, sir. We need at least 5 million tons compulsory quota for the next year. 5 million ton. Yeah, at least. Okay. So that will be for raw sugar. Yeah. If they announce it early, raw sugar can go out. Yes, right. Okay, all right. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we take the next question, a reminder to the participants, if you wish to ask a question, you may press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. We take the next question from the line of Achal Lohande from JM Financial. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir.
Very good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Very well, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, tell me, sir.
two quick questions. One is, of the 2 million ton, how much do you think is practically going to be exported, in your opinion, till September?
I think it should be possible. So, if not 2 million tons, at least 1.75 million tons should go out.
Has anything already gone out, or?
No, you see, the fine print of this financial assistance hasn't yet come out. Okay. There is an announcement of 5 rupee 50 paisa financial assistance. Now, obviously, it is like it was done last time. It is obviously going to be linked with the export. So once the fine print comes, more and more deals will happen.
Right. But what's the current net export realization in your view?
So it's around 325 USD.
Well, that is the actual realization, or it's FOB you're talking about?
FOB.
But how much would we realize given our quality? And
no, we will not be able to physically export. We will not be able to directly export anything. Although there is possibility that we could export some quantities to Nepal. Nepal is closer to UP, so Nepal is a market which can be accessed. So one thing that we have noticed in the Nepal market recently is they have increased the import duty from 15% to 30%. If it was 15%, the realizations would have been worthwhile. So we will obviously have to trade our obligations. So we may end up paying those who are doing the physical exports about 7,000 rupees a metric ton or so.
Right. What I wanted to know is 325 is the FOB. What would be the actual realization given the quality discount and Asia premium and so on?
No, it would be that much. It would be that much. Like some exports have already happened. Like for example, this 325 amounts to about 2,100 something. So there have been deals which have taken place, from Maharashtra sugar mills. So there is some kind 200 rupees or so of transportation, handling cost, etc. involved. So trades have happened. So 19 rupees, etc. is what they get. But I add to that the subsidy which is expected to be linked to this export. So they are perhaps on par with the domestic prices.
Got it. The second question I had was with respect to the early variety. What is the mix for us in terms of our total cane crushed? How much is the early variety?
In our Bundki unit, the Dwarikesh Nagar unit, we have about 98% of early variety.
Okay.
And our Afjalgarh unit, which is our Dwarikesh Param unit, there we have about 92% of early variety. The third unit, which is in Bareilly district, Faridpur unit, or Dwarikesh Dham unit as we call it, there it is 72% of the early variety.
Right. So overall roughly about 80%?
Yes,
or more than that?
Easily 80% or so.
And how much would that be proportion at the industry level in UP in your view, sir?
The last year was almost 35%. This year number I'm not offhand, I don't have it, but it definitely must have crossed about 50% or so. Because this variety is phenomenal insofar as the recovery to the sugar mills is concerned and insofar as the yield to the farmers is concerned.
Right. So, what is the constraint or what are the challenges you see for people to shift from the regular to the early variety?
There are no challenges.
There are no challenges.
Historically, it's just that, farmer gets enthused to plant this variety when he sees the neighbor is planting it and is happy doing so. So that is how it works, by word of mouth, publicity, when you see, when others demonstrate better yields, etc. So that is how it gets propagated.
Right. So what I was hinting towards is basically if this 50 becomes 70%,
there could be some improvement, yes.
So that itself can add...
No, but, you see, like I explained a little while earlier, this year the ratoon percentage vis-a-vis the total crop availability is going to be higher, and ratoon always has lesser yield.
Correct.
So there are a lot of factors, it's a very, the equation is very dynamic. On the one hand, the farmers have not been paid on time. Number two, they'll grow more and more up to 38. So, then, the area under sugarcane cultivation, many things. So, I think 12 can at best become 12 and a half or so.
Okay. No, I was actually just playing a devil's advocate to that argument of becoming only 12 and a half. I was suspecting if that can cross even 13 or 14 also, given the yield mix and the recovery rate impact it has. And I would imagine that the all rate will continue to be high.
I mean, let me put your question like this. Firstly, I'm not too sure on this percentage. Secondly, if you're trying to say that if 100% everybody grows this particular variety, what can be the sugarcane available and what can be the production?
If we can reach 80%, if some of our plants are 92 and 98%.
Yes. Why not? Others can also
even
definitely
the others,
reach that.
And even it will be beneficial for the farmer. There is no constraint as such.
So the two things will happen. The yields will go up, and secondly, our recoveries also will become better.
Exactly. So I wouldn't.
Technically, there is a possibility. Yeah.
Correct. But have you seen? I mean, in the past, in your experience, people actually moving out of sugarcane just because of the arrears, at least in UP.
Of course.
Even last few years data points.
See, of course it has happened, but we have examples of some of the sugar mills who are not paid for 1 year and they are yet continuing to get the same amount of sugar cane.
Precisely.
So it works both ways. See, there is also an expectation that the government is going to announce the MSP for a couple of products which is going to be higher. See, presently the dichotomy is that, the per hectare income of the farmer who's growing sugarcane, and particularly of this variety 0238, is much more than the next alternative crop. So there is tremendous enthusiasm among the farmers to grow sugarcane, and particularly this variety.
Got it. And just one quick question in terms of the arrears.
Yeah.
Let's say, is it the entire due of some farmer spending or some portion of each farmer is spending?
It's paid date-wise. Sugar payments are settled chronologically. In the sense, if somebody, for example, has got some arrears, which means he is not paid for, 14 days is the time, credit time you get in any case.
Correct.
So somebody has got arrears, let's say he may not have paid for the last 1 month supplies that he has received, 30 days supplies that he has received. So for the supply preceding that, he would have definitely paid. So yes, it can create a situation where, if the farmers have more purchase, so they may have got some payment at least, and if the farmer has, his calendaring is so done that he is not been able to supply any sugarcane, then his entire money gets blocked.
Okay, let me ask in another fashion, sir. Of the acreage the farmer has, let's say theoretically, farmer A has 2 acres.
Yeah.
Does he harvest 2 acres in single shot, or he harvests only part of that, supplies, and then part of that again later?
No, it depends, it depends on when he has done the planting. If he has done the entire planting in one go, then the calendaring is so done that he will have the right to supply the cane in a given fortnight. But if he has done the planting in 2 different time zones, then obviously he will get purchase in 2 different time zones.
Got it. And just one clarification, sir. Sorry, I'm saying last, but I'm just keeping asking. Sir, is there any miss on the acreage data as well, specifically for UP?
No, I don't think so.
The initial expectation was 9.5, and now we are talking about...
I agree with you. I don't think in terms of area under plantation, the initial estimate has gone too haywire. It certainly has gone little haywire, but not too haywire, not too much haywire. But yes, on the yields, the ground level intelligence has definitely failed the industry estimates.
You think the yields have been exceptionally high, not only in Maharashtra but also in the state of UP?
Even in UP also, yes.
Interesting. Great, sir. I really appreciate answering.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We take the next question from the line of Sameer Chera, individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
So I want to know, this distillery sale has gone down from 2.3 million versus 3.9.
No, the quantity that we sold is lesser than what we had sold in the previous year, because on the year-end date, we were carrying at least about 11.5 lakh quintals of more of alcohol. So, which is why, whereas the stock levels of alcohol was much lesser on 31st March 2017, on 31st March 2018, it was higher by about 11.5 liters, which is what explains the fall in the revenue of distillery.
Okay. Yeah. And for cogeneration in this quarter, we see that the power production and sale almost same, but revenue is down.
Yeah, because our price realization has gone down by 20 paisa. You see, what happens is, the tariff is so fixed that, after the plant has completed, let's say, in our case, it had completed, 2 of our plants had completed 10 years of power generation and sale. So, when that happens, the tariff is revised downwards. And thereafter, again, it keeps going up by 10-15 paisa every year. So, we faced this situation in 2 of our plants, so which is why our average realization from 5 rupees, it became 4 rupee 80 paisa.
But then this is fixed for for every 1 year or like next 3 years?
It's revised on every 1st April. No, but the tariff order is, it comes once in 4-5 years. So there is which, as per the last tariff order that had come, our prices for these 2 plants, 2 of our plants, Dwarikesh Puram and Dwarikesh Dham, it is assumed that, we would have recovered our interest cost, there would be no depreciation cost. So the prices take a plunge after the expiry of the 10th year. Okay. And then year after, annual increase is granted. So this year, our realization would be again back to anything between 490 to 5 rupees.
Okay, and for the distillery, what do you think the sales for the next 2 quarters?
We should sell about, for the entire year, we should sell about 80 lakh liters of alcohol.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. We take the next question from the line of Sagar Shah from KSA Shares. Please go ahead.
Very good afternoon, sir. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, can you hear my voice now?
Yeah, certainly I can hear you, sir. You tell me.
My question was, sir, regarding to, I wanted to know, if I'm not wrong, sir, what is the current minimum selling price of your, something like the sugar at which you're selling? It is 2,700 per quintal, sir, if I'm not wrong?
Yes, sir. Yes, very much.
So, what is the cost of production, roughly, you can say, on the gross level, not on the net level, just the cost of production, what is that?
I'll tell you, had I valued my inventory at cost on 31st March, I have taken an inventory write-down of 91 crores because I valued my sugar stock of 19.11 lakh quintals of sugar at 2,604. Now, had I valued this at cost, it would have been valued at 3,077. So, that is my cost actually.
Yes. Yeah. So, 3,077.
Yeah, per quintal.
So, something like, due to this what we are witnessing due to this excess supply in the market and the prices have gone so low actually, which are not sustainable in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
But going ahead, something like in FY19, how do you see something like the sugar, as you say, are guiding for a higher production again in the next year? So something like you are forecasting the same situation which is currently happening for the sugar industry, or also in the next year the same situation will arise?
Sir, let us assume the worst for a moment. Okay. Let us assume that the sugar prices do not revive. What will happen? This will result in build-up of huge cane arrears. Okay. Now, this is a problem which the government is unwilling to have, has to address, and is not willing to have it in front of it because, huge cane arrears obviously will create a lot of problems, be it state government, be it central government. So they have announced a lot of measures, but a lot of more measures are expected to be announced, which will result in the, number one, financial assistance to the sugar mill, number two, to pay to the farmers, and number two, to prop up the sugar prices. So, I don't think this kind of a scenario is likely to continue for a longer duration. We export more compulsory export announcements, more stops coming the way of sugar industry. So, but assuming nothing of this sort happens, yes, we are staring at a difficult situation.
In spite of something like apart from these problems that the sugar industry is facing, government actually has imported certain cess, actually 3 rupees cess.
Sorry?
On your has imported cess apart from the something like the subsidies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we are talking about. You see, one has to look at it a little holistically. There is a talk of levying 3 rupees cess on the sugar.
Yes, correct.
So obviously this fund is sought to be created or proposed to be created so as to help the sugar industry, help them liquidate the sugarcane dues.
Because we are staring at something like election next year in the central election. So I think
exactly.
I don't think.
So which is why if you see collection of 3 rupees cess is going to result in a decent amount which can be used to help the industry, which will so that they in turn can pay the farmers their dues.
They in turn can pay the farmers.
Exactly.
But as in something like if they pay the farmers, or at least so what kind of benefit that the industry can face the whole action?
No, whatever is going to be paid to the farmers is going to be paid in lieu of our obligation. So that will be
correct.
So that will be a kind of a government grant or subsidy for us.
Okay, so accordingly, your cost of production you are estimating something like not as a complete approach, but as a something like as a rough approach, you can say at least your cost of production would be less, or maybe your liabilities would reduce for a while.
Our liabilities have reduced already substantially. We have hardly any term debt on our. We have very little term loans on our books. So
But your short-term borrowings has gone up. That is why.
No, short-term borrowings have not gone up. Our bank borrowings are in fact lesser, but our cane dues are higher than what they were at on the same day last year.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Okay. That's from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you. We take the next question from the line of Tanmay Roy, individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hello. Good evening.
Very good evening,
thank you so much for giving this opportunity.
Thank you. My pleasure, sir.
Yeah. So actually, sir, anyway, most of the questions been answered. So just a few clarifications. So you said you have write up almost 90 lakhs ton of
90 crores of inventory write-down I have taken.
So after that write-down, so our current inventory which you are holding is, you said, is 2,600 rupees, right?
Correct.
So first thing is, if assuming the prices stay still at 2,700 rupees from next year.
We have positive contribution coming from the segment.
So at least we will not have inventory losses for.
Yeah.
So, sir, one thing I didn't understand, like this time, like in the result, it shows like so molasses prices are down almost 100%.
Yeah.
So if that is down, so at least our this thing should have gone up, right? Realization for ethanol has to go up, right? So, but I couldn't see that in the result, so I didn't understand exactly. So if you can explain me that.
If you see my Q4 margins of distillery segment, it is at 76% EBITDA margin, vis-a-vis 26% of the in the same quarter last year. So my margins in the distillery segment have obviously gotten better.
Not just I'm saying that ethanol exactly. I mean, end product for ethanol. So.
Sorry.
So I'm talking about the ethanol.
Yeah, I'm talking about ethanol only. Distillery produces ethanol, so our margins from the distillery segment has gone up. Okay. Yeah.
And sir, so I was just reading to some documents in recent times, and then that shows that Brazil, so in there due to the higher production in worldwide, because India is the second largest producer, so there that sale for that ethanol has gone up substantially. So the last quarter, most of the companies from Brazil have shown like 30% increase in sales in ethanol, because there are very few companies which is actually holding those quantities. So, but in same thing, situation can happen in India also, because I see there are very few, not all the sugar companies are backward integrated. There are very few companies which are actually holding this ethanol capacity to be produced, right?
Yeah, I'll explain to you the difference between the Brazilian sugar industry and the Indian sugar industry. In Brazil, most of the sugar that is produced is produced whereas in India, most of the sugar that is produced is consumed domestically. Okay.
Okay.
Now, in Brazil also, what we are going to see in 2018-19 is because the international price of sugar is so low and the price of ethanol is so much better, so we will see a big reduction in the production of sugar in Brazil in 2018-19. Okay.
Yes, true.
Okay.
So can you get benefit out of that, like actually, because the international sugar prices can go up and you can export our sugar?
There the production is going to, Brazil production is going to be lower, so which will obviously have a better, a positive effect on the international sugar prices.
Yes.
Okay. So in India, actually, I had explained a little while earlier, although the initiative is there, the prices of, molasses prices being low, it makes immense sense to make more ethanol. So, but there is shortage of production capacity, distillery capability. So once that is done, we can also see a similar situation like in Brazil, switch over from ethanol to sugar, sugar to ethanol. And once B-heavy molasses is going to be permitted to be used for making ethanol, I think then we will have a very flexible model in place.
Okay. So is there any talks going on right now in terms of like...
Yes. The talks are there, but there's no white paper on that as yet.
Okay. Sir, in last quarter, you said like we are planning to increase our ethanol capacity from 30 to 100 kiloliters. Exactly. So is there anything in that area?
Yeah, I'll tell you what is happening. You see, we are closely watching some of the technologies that are, as yet the technologies that are there in the business to treat the effluent, they are slightly imperfect. So we are closely watching the evolution of those technologies, and we are now seeing that the technologies can become perfect very shortly. So once we are reasonably assured that the technology is foolproof, not only can the slop be burnt in the boiler properly, but the condensate water can also be recycled or be treated to an extent where the BOD, COD content level is reasonable, then we will embark upon this journey.
Okay. So, but not very recently, if I would understand.
We are watching. We are as much concerned about the fall in the sugar molasses prices. So we are definitely watching. Only thing we don't want to take any step in a jiffy so that we regret it later.
Sir, the last question I think is fine. Thank you for the answering. So do you see this trend which has started like going down for this sugarcane production and sugar production? It's continuing more than 4 or 5 years from now, like which is we have seen from 2008 to like 2013-14.
You mean the increase in sugar production, is it?
Yes. So, the downtrend in the sugar prices internationally as well as domestically, and then consumption is less. So, oversee this trend going further 2-3 years more?
It's going to be a very dynamic situation. On year basis, we have to see. You see, last year, production was less because of the unfortunate drought in Maharashtra. Okay.
Yeah.
God forbidding, if anything like that happened, it could always impact the production, in a negative sense. But then, farmers are becoming more enlightened. Sugar mill companies are doing a lot of cane development work. So as a result, better varieties are being propagated, yielding varieties are being propagated, which help the farmers get better yield and which helps the sugar mill get better recoveries. So, this technological advancement is always happening. Now, sugar prices have become so remunerative that the farmers seem to be growing only sugarcane. So, the government has to work on certain, encouraging the farmers to grow some other crops as well, which is when the sense of balance will perhaps come.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for answering all these questions. Thank you.
Thank you. We take the next question from the line of Ritesh Paladia from Girik Capital. Please go ahead.
Thanks again, sir. Sir, again on a hypothetical basis, if B-grade molasses to ethanol is allowed, what can be the production of ethanol industry-wide?
Sir, I don't have that number. It can be any number, depending upon what kind of plant capabilities are created.
Okay, but would it be about 40-50 crore kind of a number, a rough cut?
No. Present ethanol supplies is about 140 to 150 crore liters per annum. Okay.
Yes.
Which is what is helping about 5% blending.
Yeah.
If B-heavy molasses is being used, I think if everybody starts making it, this number from 150 crore liter can be easily anything about 200 crore liters of ethanol. Okay, so additional 50 crore liter can come. Or more also is possible, depending upon how, what plant capabilities are being created. Okay. Yeah. That's all from my side. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, this seemed to be the last question. I now hand the floor over to the management for their closing comments.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for supporting our company. Thanks a lot for being with us all throughout. Like I explained in my opening remarks, it was a very daunting and a challenging quarter, and the times are actually difficult because of production estimates going haywire and India clocking a record production number, record production of sugar. So we on our part, on the part of our company, we are remaining grounded. We have kept a tight leash on our costs. We have become largely debt-free. We are clocking the best possible recoveries. We've controlled our process losses are also the lowest. So while collectively the macro problems are being addressed, at least at our company level, we are addressing all the micro issues. We are trying to remain as efficient as possible, having good recoveries and keeping our cost under leash. So these are the various things that we are trying, and we hope, with the kind of initiatives that the government has already embarked upon, this industry is going to bounce back. And if it bounces back, we obviously will be advantageously placed because we are among the lowest cost producers of the sugar in the country. Thank you very much.